All right, today we are diving into one of the most tangled, high-stakes issues in the entire world, Iran's nuclear program.
But we're not just going to rehash the same old headlines. No, we're going straight to what one top nuclear analyst is calling the single most dangerous question in the Middle East right now. Does Iran secretly have the raw material for not one, but 10 nuclear bombs?
So let's get into it. You see all the news, right? It's filled with tense talks, sanctions, threats of military action. But the analysis we're digging into today suggests we might be completely missing the real story.
And here is where things get really counterintuitive. The big conclusion from this analysis is that a major military strike on Iran, it's probably not going to happen. And the reason isn't some diplomatic breakthrough. It's because the very weapons Iran is suspected of having are the ultimate stop sign.
So what is this whole theory based on? I mean, that's a huge claim. Well, the entire argument really hinges on one critical and supposedly missing piece of the puzzle.
500 kilograms. That's the number at the very heart of this geopolitical mystery. And we're not talking about just any material. This is, by far, the single most valuable asset in Iran's entire nuclear program. 500 kilograms of uranium that's been enriched to 60% purity. Now, to put that in perspective for you, a nuclear power plant needs uranium enriched to maybe 3 to 5%. To make a bomb, you typically need 90%. So 60%? Yeah, that is incredibly close. It's basically the key ingredient, just one final push away from being weaponized. Okay, so the theory goes something like this. Picture it's June of 2025. Iran gets wind that a massive military strike is imminent. So just 2 days before the bombs start falling on their known facilities, they make a critical move. They allegedly take their entire 500-kilogram stockpile and move it to secret, deep mountain locations where it's been sitting, unaccounted for, ever since.
And this quote just brilliantly illustrates the thinking behind it. The analysis asks you to put yourself in Iran's shoes. If you have the one thing in your hands that can guarantee your country doesn't get destroyed, are you really just going to leave it out in the open and watch it get blown up? Of course not. The logic says you protect it like your life depends on it, because, well, it does.
So, this is the really crucial point. If this 500-kilogram stockpile is real, and it's hidden away somewhere, what would it actually take to turn that raw material into a working bomb?
Well, according to this analysis, for a country with Iran's scientific know-how, the process is surprisingly fast. You'd start with about 45 kilos of that 60% stuff. Then, using your advanced centrifuges, and Iran has thousands of them, you'd enrich it that last little bit up to 90%. After that, it's really just a mechanical process of assembling it into a bomb you've already designed and then making sure it works.
And the timeline here is just staggering. The analysis calculates that with their advanced tech, Iran could go from that 60% enriched uranium to a finished working bomb in just 2 to 3 weeks. For one bomb. And with 500 kilograms total, that's enough material for about 10 of them.
Now that last step, the cold test, that's so important. A cold test lets you test all the non-nuclear parts. You know, the conventional explosives, the triggers, the engineering, to make absolutely sure the mechanics will work perfectly. But you do it all without actually setting off a nuclear chain reaction. It's basically a full dress rehearsal without the mushroom cloud, meaning you could know for sure you have a working bomb without tipping off the rest of the world.
Okay, but what about the elephant in the room? The well-known religious decree, the fatwa from Iran's supreme leader that forbids making nuclear weapons. This is probably the biggest argument you hear against this whole scenario.
This analysis makes a pretty compelling case that you have to separate the public religious position from the brutal, hard realities of strategic survival. Sure, the fatwa is the rule in peacetime, but geopolitics, especially when your country's very existence is on the line, plays by a completely different set of rules.
And this quote from the source material just lays it bare. When the conversation shifts to the total destruction of your state, the complete collapse of your country, well, that's a whole different ballgame. The argument is that survival becomes the one and only priority overriding everything else.
And this gets us right to the heart of nuclear strategy. The ultimate power of a nuke isn't actually using it. It's in making damn sure your enemy knows you have it. It's about creating a stalemate, a situation where the price of attacking you is just too high to pay. It forces them to slam on the brakes, just like it's done for decades between India and Pakistan.
So let's just accept this theory as a plausible reality for a minute. If we do, how does it completely change the game for all those negotiations we see playing out on TV?
Well, a key demand from the West is often called the three zeros. But if Iran is sitting on the ultimate trump card, these demands suddenly become total non-starters. Zero enrichment? That's a huge step back from the 2015 deal. Zero ballistic missiles? From their perspective, that's impossible without destroying the state itself. And their regional influence? Maybe there's wiggle room, but it's not the main event.
Because at the end of the day, that 500-kilogram stockpile is now Iran's most powerful bargaining chip. The analysis is pretty clear on this. There's no way Iran would just give up its #1 insurance policy all at once. What they might do, however, is agree to a very slow step-by-step reduction in exchange for a gradual lifting of sanctions, tit for tat.
And that leaves us right here, with the final, deeply unsettling question at the core of this entire explainer. It completely reframes the issue. This is no longer just about non-proliferation. It's about a much more dangerous reality. How in the world do you negotiate with a country that, behind all the public posturing, might already be holding the ultimate card?